Now, even the best of ideas you have in a democracy, if the ultimate decision maker, who's a politician, does not get convinced about it, does not want to do it, then that idea will not happen on the ground. I'll give an extreme example here. We all have different views on whether there should be reservation in the country or not. I'm not giving an opinion on that, but my hunch is that if a referendum is held today in the country, probably there will be a referendum against having reservations. Now, can any political party today, despite this opinion, take a decision to do away with the reservation? No, I can't foresee any party even taking a stand against reservation, leave alone doing away with the reservation. So the reason that I'm mentioning here is that when we propagate an idea, at least as an administrative level, or people who are doing businesses, one should be conscious of the fact that either the idea should be politically acceptable in the beginning, or we should be able to package the idea in a manner that it becomes politically acceptable. We civil servants and even otherwise have this habit of blaming politicians for all the wrongs in the society. Partly politicians, partly bureaucrats. But fact of the matter is that in my conversations with the politicians, in fact, that's going to be the title of my next book, My Encounters with Politicians. In that, I am trying to explain that, politicians are as good or as bad as most of us. They reflect what is happening in the society. But if a civil servant, or for that matter, anybody, has good communication skills and they are able to package their ideas appropriately, they will be able to get the politician to agree to them. I did a random survey of my career, and I discovered that almost in 90% of the cases, I could convince the politician to my point of view. In 10% cases, he overruled me, which is very fair. We live in a democracy. Ultimately, he has to have a final say. But the problem was with me, my inability to package an idea for him to accept that idea. Right from Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, where I was engaged in the policy making and then scheme formulation. Then I was engaged in the project monitoring group, in the coal auction process, in the coal policy, in formulation of education issues and policies. I came across politicians who were amenable, actually. They understood it. Provided, first, I was convinced about what I was saying, number one. Number two, I had the skills to convince the minister into believing what I wanted to believe. And this applies to the private sector also. When they talk to politicians, usually an outsider believes that without money, nothing moves in the government, which is so wrong. I've been on the other side of the fence. Now I'm outside the government. I'm not saying there's no corruption. There is corruption. But a lot of it happens in the government without having paid any money. And many people, if they reflect, they will discover that, a group, when he goes to the government and says something, it carries a lot of value. So, for example, if Mr. Narayan Murthy goes to any government officer or government somebody, they will immediately accept what he's saying, by and large, because he has those credentials. So there are many factors that ultimately determine political acceptability. Obviously, the politician has to say whether the suggestion that is being given to him or her is politically beneficial to him or not. After all, he's a political being and he wants to win elections. So it's not always that for money it happens. There are many cases personally, and there are quite a few of them have been narrated in my book already, that number of cases where I had a disagreement. In fact, I had disagreements even with the Prime Minister on certain issues, and lo and behold, he agreed with me on a number of occasions. There is a general impression about individuals. I am telling from my personal opinion. The first ever meeting that I had with the Prime Minister, we had a difference of opinion as Coal Secretary. And he agreed with me. The last meeting that I had with him, there was a difference of opinion on health insurance. Though I was School Education Secretary, I was invited to explain health insurance. Prime Minister had a different view on health insurance. But when I explained to him, he agreed. And today, the RSBI, the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, which was dumped at some point in time, has been revived as Ayushman Bharat. So it's not that it can't happen. The critical point is whether we are able to formulate it in a manner and present it in a manner that it becomes acceptable. So I'm starting by saying that an idea has to be either be upfront politically acceptable or made politically acceptable for it to survive, thrive, and sustain. Otherwise, it won't work.